Okay, so a couple things we need to do to finish off the first floor. You're gonna find this piece labeled BT. That's the bottom's top. Okay, and what I want you to do is apply glue to just one tab so that we can get it anchored. Doesn't matter which one, just pick one. I'm gonna grab this one here. And this doesn't need to be perfect. No one's really gonna see it. It's more or less just to sort of give us a nice solid platform for the next few sections. Just make sure it's nice and centered. And right out to the edge, just about. Press that down, like so. Okay, and once we have one tab anchored, we'll go ahead and apply glue to the remaining three, and we'll get it closed up. I am buzzing like neon right now from all this coffee this morning. Oh, careful, watch your fingers with the glue there. All right, let's go ahead and close this up now. I'm working on the side opposite of the side that's already hinged or anchored, getting that nice and centered right out to the edge. And then I'll work my way around the two remaining sides. And then you can stick your finger in there, obviously, help the rest of that tab make nice solid contact. Go over to the last side here. Again, the main goal here is to make sure that it doesn't protrude beyond the main first floor walls. And this is going to, again, give us something to anchor this little middle section that we're going to work on next. Okay, so that's done. And actually, well, yeah, there's still one more thing we can do to that before we move on to the top floor. Find this piece labeled T with the Roman numeral 2, that's template 2. And this one's gonna be a little different. I'm gonna trace around this on three sides. One side's already straight, so I don't really need to trace that. Okay, hold that in place. Make sure it doesn't move too much. Okay. Whoops, that was a bad trace. There we go. And then we also need to trace the inside because we just need, whoa, some of the paper ripped off there. Straight foam board right there. That's okay. Let's try to keep it from moving too much. Give you a little bit of wiggle room to mess up. Okay, so that's that for the template. Grab your X-Acto and let's start chopping. Okay, let me start over here. And again, try to keep that blade nice and straight, pardon my head. I don't want to cut it at an angle. Okay. All right, well, note to self, get yourself some new blades for your X-Acto knife, Leo, because you are looking bad here. But it doesn't matter. Like I said, this is a piece that no one's really going to see. We're going to glue both of these together. Hopefully everything fits nicely. Yours is going to look a lot better because you're smart and you have a fresh blade. I'm just going to go around and kind of trim off anything that I feel like might get in the way. That should be fine. All right, so this piece here, okay, there's another piece that's kind of like it, but it only has a set of tabs, and this one's got a bunch of different tabs going on. What we're going to do is we're going to take this, we're going to pop this and glue this inside, and we want to just make sure that we have it centered so it's not obstructing any of the little tabs there. And honestly, if they do a little bit, it's not the end of the world. Just throw a little bit of glue on this piece, and it's not going to fit this way, it only fits one way. And just drop that in there. We got some thunderstorms coming. Hopefully I don't get a tornado here while I'm working, although that might be kind of exciting. All right, we'll push that into place. Okay, and then what we're going to do is start forming the structure here. So you can take and apply glue to one of these little triangular tabs, like so, and then take this and go ahead and fold it over and push down. Should have enough support there from the foam core to help you kind of push that into place, and just kind of continue to hold that while it sets. And then we'll head over here to the other triangular tab, throw a little glue on that. That one looks good. We'll tuck that in and behind and pop that into place. Give that a nice little press and hold that. Okay, just keep holding that, make sure it's good and straight. And you can see I did the solid score lines here because aesthetically it's going to look a lot nicer in between the two floors. With the perforated score lines, might look a little messy, so we're going to try to avoid that. Okay, so we'll head over here now and apply glue to this tab. My cat's over there sitting in my work chair snoring right now. And get that lined up nicely. Cute little kitty snores. Okay, just give that a few seconds to set. While you're holding it, go ahead and throw some glue on the final little triangular tab there. Tuck that under, and then push that one down as well. Get that lined up nicely. And there we go. There's some robots messing with my social media right now. There we go. Okay, cool. So now that that is all set, put this down flat. I'm going to grab this other piece now, and we're going to pop this right on there like so. I'm going to anchor it to one side first. So pick a tab, doesn't matter which one. I'm going to grab this one. And my lights just flickered. I think there's probably lightning in the area. All right, that social media guy is going to get turned off here in a minute. All right, grab this now. Again, this is not going to go on. It's only going to go on one way. So make sure that you have the orientation correct. Okay, pop that on there. Make sure it's centered and flush out to the edge. Yeah, we're going to turn you off, mister. There we go. And you've got that foam core in there, giving you something to be able to press up against, which is nice. Makes the whole process so much easier. There we go. Now I can flare that out. And we're going to apply glue to the remaining 3 tabs. Now we may need to spread this glue out nicely to get a nice clean seam here. This one's going to be kind of important. It is kind of a focal point of the project. So let's do that real quick. And we're going to focus on aligning the side opposite of the side where it's already anchored. That's why I went a little bit heavier with the glue here, because I need a little extra time to get all this done. Okay, so we'll drop it now. Focus on this side here. As I mentioned, the side opposite of the side that is already anchored. Line that up, nice and snug, and then take the other 2 walls and push them in if necessary. They should just kind of fall into place, but sometimes they stick out a little bit and you gotta push them in ever so slightly. There we go. And if you have any little gaps, we can go in and clean those up using our little painting method, which I'll show you here in just a sec. Okay, I think that's going to be our top. Pretty sure. This is where the second floor is going to go. And this is going to connect to the first floor. Let's take a look at our seams. That one looks good. This one's kind of messy. I don't know if you can see the gaps there, but if you have any, grab yourself a scrap piece of paper, just throw a little bit of glue on it, and just kind of tuck it in between the two layers that are not sitting pretty. And then just give that a little press. Okay. And that gap magically disappeared. And we'll get this one here. Sometimes it helps to really put that glue right out to the very edge. So as soon as you tuck it in and under, okay, I guess it's I just unplugged the wrong one. There we go. I just want this to look nice and clean. As clean as we can get it. That side looks nice. That side looks pretty good, with one little exception. And I will oftentimes regularly swap out these little scrap pieces just because it's easier to work with a fresh one each time, because the glue kind of moves a little bit each time you pop it into a little area, and just want to try to avoid making a mess wherever possible. After all, they are just little scraps. It's not a big deal. Okay, all right, that looks pretty good. We'll go with that. Okay, so I think the final little touch here, and you can see this should be, yeah, it's equal, so it doesn't really matter. But I want the part here that already had the fold to sit on top like that. That just looks cleaner. And then find the side that looks best from the front. Let's see if this one looks any better. Yeah, that one sure does. Okay, so now what we're going to do is with these tabs here, we're going to fold these and tuck these under, and they're going to get glued to the underside of this brown piece, and that's going to anchor this in place. Okay, so we'll start on one side, and then should be able to still kind of lift this up. All right, so I'm putting glue on the texture side. We're going to pop it in, and then we're literally going to push it up against the underside of the main building. Okay, and I'm just kind of holding it in there. Make sure that it's centered, and give that a few moments to really set, because there's a little tension there. It's kind of, it wants to fight just based on the score mark there. Make sure your fingers are clean. Okay, let's see if that's straight. Looks pretty good. Okay, all right, now what we'll do is we'll head over to the other side, and we're gonna grab, so this side's anchored, we're gonna take this tab and flare it towards us so we can get a little bit of glue on the texture side. Okay, so we got that glue on the texture side. We're gonna tuck it in and under the structure, and I'll show you from the inside here in a minute once I actually have it glued down. And this is gonna create a nice, flat, sturdy base. I've seen some buildings made by certain artists in the past where, well, you know, you create the second floor and it just doesn't have a good solid foundation, and then it gets kind of wonky. And this should prevent that. Okay, so now let me flip this over so you can see. So this tab here and this tab here are what we just glued, and we're gonna, now that we have it like this, we can actually take this, can flare this tab out, and you can actually do it from this side here, so I can show you. We're just putting glue on that, and we're gonna flip that up and press that up against the underside. I prefer to do it this way, it's just easier to grip. We're going to get that glued into place. Keep your fingers clean, please. There we go. Then we just have a second floor to build, which isn't going to be too bad because it's pretty much square with one little extrusion. Okay. So that tab is now glued down. And then we're going to do one more thing to make this thing look nice and solid. Last tab there. You can see my glue. I'm going to take it, fold that tab over and under, but I'm going to do it from this way. It's just easier. And push that into place. There we go. Now part of it still wants to kind of stand up and pull away from the main structure, almost like you have a floating second floor in a way. I'll show you what I mean here. See that gap there? Yeah, we don't want that. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take and we're going to use our little painting tool. Okay, and maybe grab a couple of them, have them ready. We're going to take and just really put some nice thick amounts of glue right onto, I'm just going to paint it right onto the main surface here, like this. Okay, should have had a couple of these ready to go. Going pretty thick here. Careful not to get it where you don't want it. Okay, just go nice and thick here. Oh, that could be a problem. Just make sure you don't get it on the face of the house. I think that should do it. Now, we're just going to push this down and hold it down until it really fully sets. Try to hold it from all four corners. Get that nice and flat. And this is just going to be a waiting game now. Thinking maybe that could have been avoided with some additional folding on the tabs there, but I don't think so. I think it would still just kind of want to goof around on us a little bit, but just keep holding it down, let that glue dry, and that part will be pretty much done. Grab this and just pop it right on top. There we go. Let that do the work. And that way I'm not tempted to prematurely pull this out. Let's see if this looks even. I think it does. It looks good. All right, we'll put this off to the side, let that completely set. So, that being said, we have these two pieces here. And just like the bottom, remember when we were talking about having a skeleton piece? Well, that's what this is. Okay, so we're going to actually glue two of these together so that it's nice and sturdy. That'll help keep the shape of our second floor. So grab the other one, pop it right on top. I'm just making it 2 layers thick. Make sure you've got it nice and lined up. Like so, I can hear the rain hitting the gutters. Okay, all right, so that's that. Okay, so we have top T, this is T2, this is T4. Again, that's 4 dashes in the shape of a square, okay? And then we have piece T1. So let's put these in order. There's T1, T2. I gotta find T3 now. And T3 is going to be, I believe, here is T3, and here's T4. So this is the fun part. Things are gonna get gonna be a little different, but not too bad. Okay, so let's just focus on one thing at a time here. Let's look at T1 right here and T2. You can see this straight edge here. This is obviously going to get glued right there, and that's going to help with anchoring. So let's do that first. Let's get that anchored. So let's start with this tab here and spread that out nicely. And put that down flat for now. Not much time left working flat. And that is going to go right there like so. Just make sure these horizontal score marks line up nicely. Okay, press that down. I'm going to take this now and I'm going to flip it over this way just to make sure that this angle matches up, indicating that it is connected nicely. Okay, so since this thing is kind of bulky, I think the best way to do this right now is to kind of begin building this. Okay, now these tabs here, we can put these on the outside because we do have a panel that's going to go over it. Okay, it's this guy here that's going to cover that up anyway, and it'll just make it a lot easier for us to get this all glued into place. So here's what I want you to do. Go ahead and put some glue on a few of these tabs. We're going to tuck them underneath this piece here. And I just want you to push that up against the wall, up against this piece as far as it'll go, and then press down from the inside to kind of help build that shape. Okay, so that's what it should look like. And then we can take and flare out the remaining tabs. Just put a dot of glue on each of the 4 remaining tabs, tuck those under, and again, just follow that shape. Make sure you're pushing it up against this piece as far as it'll go, like so, and then press that down, and there we go. Okay, so that's that. So we have T1, T2 is now connected. We're going to grab T3, and this is T3. Okay, we're going to take the T3 and glue it here, and then we're going to do the same thing with the little tabs for the roof part. So go ahead and apply your glue to that large tab at the bottom. Okay, now we're probably not going to be able to put this down flat. Well, maybe we will. Yeah, actually we can. It's fine. Line that up as accurately as you can, like so. Give that a quick press. Don't worry about that. Let's fold this in on itself. Check the alignment here. That looks great. Perfect. Okay. And now we need to curl this the other way, since the roof's kind of sloping the other way. All right, so let's get the first 3 tabs here, little dots. Okay, and then tuck that under. Don't worry about making a mess. It's all going to be covered up anyway. And push that up against the structure and press down with your fingers to get those tabs in place. Like so. There we go. And let's reveal the last few tabs. Let me take a look at something real quick. Don't glue this top one down yet. So just the next 3 tabs. 1, 2, 3. Tuck those under. Push up against this structure here that I got my pointer finger on and press down to get those tabs anchored. There you have it. And now we're going to leave this alone for now, but this is going to join like this ultimately. Okay, now we're going to grab piece T4, and the 4 is in the shape of a little square. Okay, we're going to join this like this. Now this one we're going to have to do in the air, so to speak, which is fine. And just be careful not to rip anything at this point. Once we have this done, the rest of it's going to be a cakewalk. So we're almost home here, guys. All right, so line that up as accurately as you can. There we go. And then we're going to do the same thing with those tabs. You can actually put this down on your surface and push down. Okay, don't worry about that glue. Bring these tabs out and around. Okay, let's flare a few of these out. They're pretty big tabs, so you can probably do 4. Okay, Now this is going to get a little in the way here, but you can kind of see, we're going to tuck those tabs, move this out of the way, we're going to tuck those tabs under, like that, push them up against that structure, just like we did the other side. It's just that now you have the other side kind of in your way. I need one of those cameras that they use for colonoscopies to get in these tight little spots so you can see that. Sorry, that was a little weird. No filter here sometimes. Okay, so that is in place. And let me see here. Yeah, don't glue that last tab down. So just do the 2 just before the top, right there. Okay, again, tucking them under and pushing up against the structure, pushing down from the inside to help those tabs get a grip, just like that. Okay, and then we're going to come over here now and we'll apply glue to this one. And get that lined up nicely. And then literally just kind of finish it off. There's one little extrusion part that we're going to build separately and then kind of tether it to this main structure. There we go. Ooh, it's getting hot in here, man. Oof. Burning up. All right, now that that's connected, we'll put some glue on the first few tabs here. Maybe just the first 4. Let's tuck them, start tucking them under. Okay, so you can see them there. They're going to go underneath here. And again, pushing it up against the structure while pushing down from the inside to help those tabs get a nice hold. Even I'm having a hard time seeing this right now. It's okay. That worked out nicely. Okay, and that just leaves a few more tabs here. That has to get tucked in under there, like so. This one lost its hold. Let me fix that. And you can always do it from the outside. I just like to use my table to help me. So I'll show you what I mean here. You can literally flare these out. And instead of using your table, you can just do it like this. But I kind of prefer using the table because I know I can push this in up against the structure and push down from the outside. It's almost like having a third hand in a way. Okay, let's get this one glued down. Okay, there we go. All right, so what I want you to do now is we need to take this tab here. We're going to apply glue to this whole thing. And it doesn't have to be perfect. This is going to be hidden. We've got many, many more layers to go on top of this. We just need it to be precise and to hold. We're going to tuck that behind the other side of the roof and just get that lined up so that we have a nice peak. Just like that. Give it a second for that glue to start to get tacky, and then it'll stay in place a lot better for you. You can actually put this down on your surface too. Just kind of take a look and make sure that it's nice and aligned, nice and centered. There we go. Let's take a look at that. That looks good. Okay. And then we just have a few additional little tabs to close up here. There's one on this side and 2 on the other. Go ahead and throw a little bit of glue on all 3 of these. Fold them over. Then you can kind of put them down on your surface. Make sure you're pushing them in so they follow that shape. There we go. Take a look at those. That looks great. And we'll go over to the other side. Got a handful of tabs left here to get glued down. I'll tuck those under. I'm going to use my table again. Push that in from the outside, push down on the inside. And there we go. Okay. That will work. And there we go. Okay, so let's find Mr. Extrusion. This piece here kind of looks like a star or something. Okay, so we're going to find these two pieces, and you want to lay them out like this. So this is kind of pointy. You want the pointy end pointing away from this. It's going to go on like this. Okay, we're basically building a giant dormer window. But first, what we want to do is we're going to take and need to glue one end of this to this section here like so. Okay, so go ahead and apply glue to this tab here. And again, we're gonna have panels on all of this stuff here, so if you get a little slap happy with the glue, it's okay. Okay, so line that, you can actually put this down flat. You can see that there's a little score mark there. Just kind of lay it down so that all the score marks kind of line up. This one here and this one here. Make it all one continuous piece. Like so. Okay, great. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take and glue this part to this section here. Like so. Okay, so go ahead and apply your glue to this tab. And grab the other end of this. And you can kind of flex it if you need to. Hold it however you need to get this lined up as accurately as you can. Like so. Whoops. There we go. And press that into place. Wonderful. All right, so you can see what's happening here. Now we're going to take these tabs and glue them to the face of this piece. And just like we did with the first part of the roof, we're going to put glue on those tabs and just kind of push them up against the structure. Okay, so go ahead and just, I would actually probably do 2 on each side first, just so that, so I'm doing 2 tabs here. We'll tuck those in and put them underneath. Make sure you're pushing it up against the structure as far as it'll go, and then press down. Like so. Take a look at the front. Okay. Now let's go over to the other side. Do these 2. Fold them over and under, pushing up against the structure, this face part, and then pushing down from the outside. There we go. Okay. And that just leaves 2 more. Let's just do 1 and 1. Do a dot here, do a dot here until we get to the peak. Tuck those under, push it in, press down, push it in, press down. There we go. Then all these other little tabs, we're going to use this to actually join this to this other part of the roof. Okay, now this little section here, don't need to fold it out completely. Again, we've got panels going over this. Fold that over and under. And then try to kind of squeeze that a little bit. And if you need to, grab yourself a little dowel maybe and push from the inside. Okay, that's not making full contact yet. I'm going to use a little screwdriver. If you have a thin hibachi, that would work too. Just whatever to get your finger in that little peak. Help those tabs make contact. There we go. Okay, next, so these tabs, we can actually flare these out like so. all of them. And I'll explain why here in just a moment. Even these here, can flare that out. But this one here, this is the bottom. I'm going to put glue on these two triangular tabs, like so, and close it up, like that. Just line that up on one side, go over to the other side, line that up, press, and voila. I think we're done with structural pieces minus the roof, which is nice. Actually, yeah, there's another section of the roof. That's fine. That'll be easy. Okay, so check this out. This is going to slide in right up to that peak. Okay, and then we're going to take these tabs and glue them to the inside. I think what I'm going to do here is start at the bottom, because this section here is going to match up with this tab here. So that's pretty easy visually to identify where that needs to go, and that will kind of anchor the rest of the process for us. That's definitely the way to go. Let's add our glue here. Bring this in. And this score mark here should be flush with this one here. So that's also a good visual cue to kind of look at. Make sure this is butting up against this piece here. There we go. Perfect. And then we'll head over to the other side and do the same thing, get that anchored. Like so. Try to match that up as accurately as you can. Hold it however feels most comfortable. There must be some lightning strikes going on somewhere. There we go. And don't worry too much about the shape of this thing yet. Okay, so getting there. At least it's mostly anchored. And then really at this point, it's just a matter of going up the sides here. And maybe we'll just, like we did initially, just do 2 on each side at a time. I just put glue on those 2. We'll fold them over up against the inside of this structure. Use the little window there to help you get your finger in there. You really can't use your table at this point, so we have to just kind of glue each little tab individually into place. There we go. And that one didn't quite take. It's helpful to look from the outside just to make sure everything's sitting good and flush. All right, so we'll grab these 2 tabs on the other side, throw a little glue on each one. You don't need a lot. Then we're going to fold it back over. It's going to go up against this surface. But again, I want to kind of look at it from the outside just to make sure that everything is good and flush. The main part of the roof, I want it to be right up against this dormer window that's poking out. And then we can take a look on the inside once we know that it is in place. There we go. Okay, so 2 done there, 2 done there. Let's head on over to the other side now and apply glue to the next 2 tabs, like that. We'll fold them over and push them up against the main structure. And I don't mind doing 1 little tab at a time. It's totally fine. You can kind of feel where it is from the outside, so you can push up against it. And there, those 2 tabs are now in place. We'll go over to the other side, flare those back, dot, dot, fold over, and keep on cruising. Okay, here's where we really just need to make sure that everything is sitting good and flush. And it looks like everything's going to work out nicely. And that just did not take. Need to be more patient with each of these little sections here. Okay. What I think I might do is go up to the top now and just kind of work from the top. I think the rest of this is fine. I think it'll probably hold better if we get the top anchored. So I'm gonna go up to the very, very top and maybe just do one at a time here. Go easy on the glue. We'll take that just like we've been doing, fold it over and push it up against this surface here. That's the spot right there. Press and hold it. There we go. And we'll go over to the one right next to it on the other side of the window. Right there. Take it and fold it up against the structure. And just give that a press right there. There we go. And then let's work our way down. We've got a little tiny tab there. That small one. Again, you get the idea here. I don't think I need to keep showing you the process. And the rest of them are just gonna get glued to the inside. So this is probably one of the more challenging parts of the project. Again, make sure this part is nice and flush. You see how there's a gap there, but you can push it. You can push that into place. You're gonna have to, like that, so it looks nice and clean and closed. Okay, so let's keep on cruising here, working one tab at a time. Put a little dot on there, fold that over, and press it up against the structure. Make sure it's nice and flush. Oh, got more glue on my fingers than I do on the project right now, I think. There we go. And we'll go over here. Next one, we've got, I don't know, maybe 8 more tabs left, and then it's going to be smooth sailing from here on out, I promise. Okay. All right, getting there. I'm going to flare these tabs in, just kind of keeping count. I'm going to go down to the bottom one now. Work my way from the bottom up a little bit. And I just put glue on that one there and that one there. Could probably do them both. It's mostly in place now. I don't think it's really going to fight us anymore. Okay, let's get that one in place. There we go. Okay, we'll go back and forth here. A little glue on that one, a little glue on that one. Fold them over, press them against the structure. There we go. Just take a quick peek, make sure I'm holding the right tab with each attempt here. There we go. We got a few more to go. Not bad. All right. Well, that rain is coming down. Sort of the first part of the summer, I was out watering my garden like every night, and lately we've finally been getting some rain, so got to be thankful for that. Okay, there we go, and the last ones. And if it's a little wonky, it's okay. We've still got a few more layers of elements going on top of all this. This is more or less just the foundation. And if you've ever seen a roof being built with plywood, it's not the prettiest thing. So picture this as like the plywood. Okay, and that looks great. That turned out perfect. Okay, so that's that. And now what we can do to kind of help keep the shape of this, because we're done adding structural pieces, just like we did before. We have this little skeleton piece that we're going to glue in here, okay, and that's going to help keep the shape of this thing. So what I would do is I'm going to anchor it to the front here. And actually, yeah, so here's what I'm gonna do first. I'm gonna put glue on this little step right under here, okay? Because everything else is a tab. So tuck this in now and just glue this right to the front there. Make sure it's in completely. And glue just that part right there, like so. There we go. Now let's go over to the back. You can flare this tab out and throw a little bit of glue on this long tab, smooth side. Okay, and then press that into place. Yeah, I would not recommend doing it that way. Just kind of hold it like this and just keep pressing. There we go. And then this little piece is also going to help us connect this to the other structure. All right, let's pull these two tabs out. Apply a little glue there, a little glue there, and press that up against our little skeleton. And this one here. Not bad at all. And that just leaves two more on the sides. Throw a little glue on there. This would be a good time to install your vellum as well. I guess we could have done that before, but everything is flat enough to where we can do it now and it's not going to cause any problems. All right, so that's in place. Final tab here. Let's get our glue on there. And press that into place. Perfect. All right. Structurally sound, looking good. Find your 3 remaining pieces of vellum. There should be 3 left. Okay, 2 that have this old school medieval sort of look, and 2 that are, or just 1 that's kind of like that. And what we're gonna do is just put a little bit of glue. Again, I don't think I'm creating anything to put in the windows on the top floor, but if I do, you'll see it. And just like I did earlier, okay, so there's your vellum. You're gonna layer the 2 layers together and get that. Then go ahead and I'm just putting glue around the window on the inside and then putting my vellum in place. There we go. So we've got vellum there, and then for this window here, I'll just apply some glue around the perimeter, like so. And then just take this piece and just drop it right in there. Oops. Very carefully. Oh boy. And there you go. Okay, I need to put a little more glue on one side here. Okay, so we have some piecing that we need to do here. 2 of these are going to be pretty much identical. Okay, let's move this window out of the way. We're going to grab this piece. There's one like this, but as you can see, if you put it here, it's too short. That's for the dormer window. Let's get this in place. And note to self, lower the intensity of the coffee maker. I don't really think I'm built for coffee, but I do it anyway. Too much of a spaz. Okay, there we go. Get that in place nicely. Should be flush along the sides. There we go, beautiful. Okay, so the layering on the windows, we're going to start with, and actually we can just do this off of the panel initially and just get everything glued onto the panel. That way we don't risk, having to apply something multiple times and risk getting glue all over the place. If anything, it's better to do it this way. And if you have an accident, chances are it's not going to get on anything important. And then once we have all the layers together, we can pop it onto the main panel. Okay, just make sure everything's nice and aligned. Okay, there's that one. Then we'll do the brown layer. Pumpkin's gonna go check out the rain. I don't think he's gonna go out there though. I swear if he just gets a drop of rain on him, he'll be bathing himself for 4 hours. Okay, there we go. Layer that one on top of that. Press that down, and then finally, this little mac and cheese piece. That's the actual name of the color, yes. There we go. And that is going to go right in the center. I'm going to hold it from the top and just kind of align it at the bottom first. There we go. Give that a little nudge if necessary. Those are nice colors. Turned out real nice. Okay. The vellum's already in place, so we don't need to worry about that. Now we can put glue on this entire piece and get that installed. Okay, and we just need to match it up with a little cutout for the window here. Simple as pie. There we go. Perfect. All right, so we get to do that one more time on a piece that's basically exactly like this. I didn't really do any embossing on this just because the pieces weren't really, they weren't at a size where it would work. I'm okay with that. Going for more of a graphic look on this one, and that's totally cool. You guys can emboss if you want. That's fine. All right, we'll grab this piece and get that lined up. Come on. There we go. Beautiful. Yeah, these are definitely reminiscent of Bavarian architecture, something you'd see in Germany maybe, which I think is appropriate for Santa. I don't know. I don't really know too much of his heritage. Okay. Let's get this on. Line that up nicely. There we go. So, you know, some of you may ask, well, why don't you just cut out a few of these little yellow pieces and glue those down individually? Well, because of dimension. When you layer paper, well, obviously it gets thicker and it stands out more. Just makes things a little more lifelike, rather than just having a solid piece of paper and then just adding little bits and pieces. I guess that also adds dimension, but in a different way. All right, so let's get that lined up now. That looks great. Okay, make sure it's flush on the bottom. There we go. And then we'll take this little fella and throw a little glue around him. Again, I'm gonna hold it by the tip there at the top. Get that centered. Pardon my head if it's in the way. Beautiful. Yeah, and ink this to your heart's content, wherever you want. There we go. All right, we'll flip her over. 2 down, 1 more. We got the dormer window section to go. And then we're gonna be talking about a roof here in just a minute. All right, line that up with the little cross on the window. Make sure that's straight, and then these green elements should be nice and flush with the edge. Yeah, you can see that, well, I can, maybe not on camera so much, but I can see that we've got nice dimension on this. Okay, so this is ready, this is ready, these are ready. These we're gonna work with last. And then let's do the dormer. There's some things we can put on it now. Other things we'll have to wait until we get the first panel installed. This is one thing that we can put on right now. So let's do that. Is he really outside right now? No, he's not, of course not. Okay, get that lined up right at the top. There we go. All right. Okay, so the rest of this part of the window, we have to wait to put on until we actually get this on here. All right, so that being said, let's start with one of the flat sides here. Okay, that's gonna go on like this. So what we can do is apply glue to this entire piece, right out to the edge. And if we need to go back in and do a little painting to get this to sit nice and flush, that's fine. But the roof is going to kind of extend over this a little bit. So most of it will be pretty hidden. All right, let's get that installed. Make sure it's flush on all sides, especially here. Boy, this is just so precise. It's pretty incredible. All right, and then you can take this and put this down on your surface, push down from the inside, help the rest of it really get a hold. And like I said, the roof, once we kind of start building that, it's gonna hang over the edges of most of this. So we won't have to really worry about painting any little seams that might be missing, but that looks awesome. Excuse me. Let's go over to the other side here and get this one installed. Okay. Now you notice there is a Roman numeral 2 on this, and this is side 2. I think this one would work on the other side as well, so I don't think it's a big deal. No, it's not. But either way, these are symmetrical, exact. Actually, they're just literally duplicates. Okay, let's get that on. Maybe a little more along the edge there. Oops. That looks good. Let's line that up, flush with the bottom, flush with the front and back, and then just kind of feel for the roof line here. Make sure that that is nice and flush. Flush, 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 flush. All right, put that down on your surface, press down from the inside. Here we go. Oh yeah. Can smell the home stretch here. That looks great. All right, cool. All right, let's take a look here. We got the back. This piece here is going to go right here. And you could do it this way or that way. I don't care. I kind of maybe want more of the brick showing, so I'll put it this way. I'll put it this way. Let's put it this way. Okay. And we were so behind on this. Usually what I'll do is I'll go visit Diana and we'll discuss the project. She'll give me the prototype so that I can have it in hand. I didn't even bother doing that. I actually cut this all out with my Caesar machine, and I'm doing this without a prototype, and that is just a testament to, well, I guess not only our teamwork, but Diana's engineering and of course experience. There we go, beautiful. Now let's take a look at this side here. We're gonna grab this piece and we're gonna glue the face of this on first, and then these two little wings. Okay, so go ahead and flip this around. Go ahead and add your glue. You can always flare those little wings out. Try to match that up with the window, and of course make sure it's flush with the bottom, flush here as well. It is so precise. It's incredible. Make sure it's centered. That looks good. And put this down on my surface, push down from the inside. Beautiful. I know I said it, didn't really want to work weekends anymore, but we are a little behind and I don't want to miss this Christmas in July opportunity, so it's okay. I'm really enjoying this today. Really needed it. All right, let's flare one of these little wings out and apply your glue. Go ahead and fold it over. And again, matches perfectly if you need to. Kind of just give a little press right up against the inside there. You see the beautiful inking. I see a spot for a brick, and this is what I was talking about earlier, where we sometimes have to get things in place for some of those bricks to be applied. Okay, let's go over to the other side, flare this back, and apply our glue to this wing. Get some glue out all the way to that tip there, so that don't go anywhere on us. Press that down. There we go. Perfect. Look at that. All right, these two sections here, we have these two panels here. Make sure that you get the orientation correct. I'm gonna put the bricks more towards the bottom so they're visible, because we're gonna have a little roof line on there. And I don't want that little detail to be hidden away. So we're gonna pop this right on there. Okay. There we go. Pretty much perfect. All right, and this one's gonna go here, like so. Beautiful. All right, so that's there. Okay, now let's put the details on this dormer window in place. I'm going to take this green layer, and I'm going to first, I'm not going to worry about these little wings here. Let's get the green part glued down first, the main part of it, the face. Okay, get a little bit of glue on there, a little bit on there. And this should be flush with the bottom, and of course you can use the little window as a guide. I see some more spots for some bricks. Just get that, you can put that face down, push from the inside. Okay. And then take these little wings, flare one out, a little bit of glue, fold it over. It's a tight fit, which is good. That's what we want. There we go. Head over to the other side. Fold that over, press that in place. And again, it's a nice tight fit. You might need to kind of press down with something. You can use a bone folder that's probably less abrasive. Obviously, I should have done that. I don't know. Just a guy, grab a screwdriver when I need something, I guess. I don't know. Okay, cool. So that's that. And then we're going to take and we're going to build the window here. We can build it off of the panel. We've got the yellow layer. There's a green layer that goes on top of that. So add glue to your green. This is forest green, Encore color. Okay. Get that right on there. Line it up nicely. And then we have our little planter box. Get that assembled. Okay, so the green, this is hunter green, that's going to go on top of the red. And don't forget, there's a little dainty, fragile little piece there, a couple of them actually. Careful not to break it. Got something on there. And just line that up. If you have a little bit of that red peeking through, that's okay. It looks nice. I actually just ran this through Embosser. Just to give it a little, I want to create some separation on this. Just a tad. Okay, then we'll take this and just put some glue at on the actual planter, not so much the foliage. and glue that to the bottom. Make sure it's flush and centered. There we go. And then we can take this whole thing, just focus on putting the glue on the yellow part. And we'll get that installed. Whoa, 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 geez. What are you doing there, guy? We don't need that right now. And there we go. Oh boy. Watch your fingers. Okay, once it's mostly tacky, you can flip it over, push from the inside. Okay. And there we go. Okay, let's find, at this point, we can go ahead and, well, we've got a few of these that we still need to attach. Okay, and you can see kind of how these work. That's going to go right there, like so. Make sure that that is correct. It is. I'm going to just double check everything here. Yep. That looks good. Yeah. Yeah, these should be pretty much the same piece. Okay. So go ahead and you can put glue on both sides of this. It's just a nice little accent for the corners, which will also potentially hide any little imperfections if you have any. So that one's going to go right there. Make sure it's flush with the bottom, right on that corner. Flush right there. There we go. Can push from the inside as well. Still have access, which is nice. Not often that we get that. Okay, this one's going to go right here. Line that up, flush with the bottom. There we go. All right, head over to the other side. Two more. Okay. Someone's trying to get a hold of me. There we go. This looks great. Okay, and the last one. And then we got some bricks. And then we are ready for the roof. The roof. The roof is not on fire. Thank God. Okay, there we go. Careful there, Leo. All right, sweet. All right, you know what we could do at this point is get this connected so that we, well, I think we're pretty much at that point. All right, so this section here with the extrusion is going to be facing forward where the entryway is. Okay, so right here, this is our entryway. This is going to be facing forward. And you may have guessed it, we're going to take these flaps now and we're going to glue those. We're going to put glue on the texture side and they're going to get glued to this little skeleton piece on the inside to hold it in place. You could do it that way, or, I mean, honestly, what you could also do is just put glue on the bottom of this and just glue it down like that. Okay, I mean, it's totally up to you. I think this is a little more secure. I think that's how I'm going to do it. Okay, so let's just, I think, yeah, there's really nothing holding me back at this point. I'm going to do that. Go ahead and apply glue. I'm going to do it to this tab here, the forward-facing one. And again, don't forget, this section here with the extrusion is going on this side. Okay, so now we're going to need to kind of flip this a little bit. And I'm going to take that tab, make sure it's centered. We're going to press that tab onto the inside of that top layer, and you may need to kind of nudge it a little bit. All right, come on back. Make sure it's centered. And then push it up against that tab and hold it in place. There we go. It's there. It's come to life, everyone. It's finally here. Wow. It's been a process. I love it though. It turned out awesome. Okay, that looks great. All right, so now I'm gonna go in here, okay? And what the heck am I looking at? Oh yeah, so this red tab here, this one here, we're gonna put glue on this surface, and then we're gonna tuck it in and under so that it makes contact with the inside of that little skeleton piece. So these 3 tabs here, 1, 2, and 3, we're gonna put glue on, not on the side that you can see, but underneath. And then we're gonna take it and push it over so that it's on top of this. I hope that makes sense. I'm going to the side opposite of the side that's already hinged, and it's literally getting glued down to that spot right there. I've got it pretty much centered, I think. I might have to scooch it a little bit. Hold on. Oh, what the heck? Okay, there we go. Just trying to follow this line here to make sure that I've got it good and centered. There we go, perfect. Hold that in place. I love having that foam core in there. It's making this so much easier. This thing is not warping at all. Super solid. Nice and strong. There we go. Okay, so now we're gonna go over to this tab here. I'm gonna fold it back towards me, put glue on the side that you can't really see. Okay, and then we're gonna take this tab, push it all the way in, up against the inside of our top floor. And I'm literally just kind of, almost like I'm holding like a tiny hamburger. I'm squeezing everything together up against that tab. There's no way I can show you that tab right now, unfortunately, because it is it's inside Santa's workshop. Okay, but there we go. And that just leaves this last one here. This guy right here. I'm gonna fold that back. I hope I don't have glue all over my fingers. Ugh, it's okay. I'll clean that off. And the last section here. Holding that in place. Yeah, it looks pretty straight too. I'll take it. And there we go. So I am seeing, again, a little bit of a gap there. So if you want, you can take and grab some glue. And it is probably 95 degrees in here right now. You can see this little gap right here. I might thin that out just a tad. You can slide a little bit of glue right underneath there. Just paint that. And just press that down. You can actually push from the inside too, right on that little area. And just go around the horn and just be patient. Let that set. I might just do that after the fact so I don't burn up in here right now. But yeah, you can see the little gaps there. Those can be easily fixed by just painting a little bit of glue right in those areas, just giving it a little extra TLC. Okay. Let's see how that did. Yep, see? That's nice. All right, cool. So I'll worry about fixing that up in a little bit here. In the meantime, let's just get rid of these last 4 bricks that have remained here and figure out where we're going to put them. I don't remember where they go. There's one there. That's about a half a brick. Well, scored halfway anyway. Let's see if that one will fit there. Yeah. That one's good there. Let's throw a little glue on this guy. Hey, buddy. You've been waiting for your home for a while, huh? Yes, you have. All right, there's one there. Pop you in place. I think, I want to say, there were some spots. There's one there. That one's got one where the score line is way off to one end. Okay, throw a little glue on that guy. And most of this brick is going to be on the face with just a little bit on the side. There we go. All right, I got two more. I swear I saw them somewhere. There's one right there. Okay, that one's about halfway, I'd say. That one's going to go right there. I love all the little details. Okay, that one's going to go here. Just press that in place. And where is that final brick? It's got to be somewhere. Where are you? There he is, right there. All right, and this one, the last one that I have anyway, is scored towards one end. I'm going to put this here, and that should pretty much wrap it up there for the bricks. I don't know if I got them all perfect, but close enough. Okay. All right, so again, I'm going to fix those gaps after the fact. All right, roof time. First thing we're going to do is find a piece that looks like this, and then these two smaller pieces. One has a little L in it, the other one does not. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to begin at the bottom here. We're going to put some glue on this tab on the smooth side, and we're going to build the structure for the roof. You want to just line that up like so. This is all going to go on the outside of this piece, but we want to get that lined up first. Get that anchored like so. Make sure it's nice and straight. There we go. And this is going to be pretty familiar, because what we're going to do is we're going to put this down like this and then glue these tabs up against this structure like so to form the shape of the roof. Okay, so what we can do here, I'm pretty confident that I can probably do all of these in one fell swoop. So go ahead and just put a little dot of glue on each of these tabs up to this one here, where the point is, the peak. Okay, and then tuck those tabs under, and very gently push this up against this little, I'll call it a skeleton piece. Just make sure it's nice and flush, and press down from the inside. There we go. That's that. And then I'm going to go over here, and actually we can just take and put glue on these tabs here. I'm going to tuck those under. Let me fold this a little bit. There we go. Tuck those tabs underneath and just follow the shape all the way down to the bottom, like so. And press that up against the little skeleton piece. There we go. So that we are left with this, well, sorta. Looks like I didn't get enough glue on this guy. Actually, all of these are kind of giving me trouble here. Let's try this again. Wow, okay there, Leo. I think I waited too long. Just gotta pop that in there underneath. It's just fighting itself right now. That's okay. There we go. Might help to grab your dowel, get those first few to hold, and then push the rest of them in. That's probably what it was. I just wasn't getting my finger in there far enough to where the glue was, and it just wasn't grabbing a hold. That's okay. There we go. That's better. And then this last one, obviously, just like the first one we started with, pop that down on your surface, tuck it under, And press down. I'm going to use a dowel just to get right in that little crevice. There we go. There we go. Okay. Now to kind of clean this up, we're going to take this piece and glue it right onto the face, like so. Just careful not to get glue all over the place. And that is going to also help give us the correct shape on this roof. Okay. Start at the peak. Get that nice and centered. Press that down and then just kind of work your way down. And it should all match up perfectly. And then when you get to the other side, you may have to kind of shape it a little bit by nudging it in or out ever so slightly. There we go. You can put that down on your surface now. Grab your dowel. Really get some pressure on there in those little crevices. And there we go. Okay. So this is the little roof for the dormer window. All right, so I kind of jumped the gun and I started gluing that down. I shouldn't have done that. We're gonna hold on to this piece for later. In the meantime, I want you to take these two remaining roof pieces with all the little guides and take a look at the numbers. Okay, you have a Roman numeral 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, the smaller number should be towards the top. Okay, and actually there's a T here indicating top as well. And there's a tab here. So we're gonna apply our glue to this tab. We're gonna join these two sections together. Okay, this doesn't need to be perfect. Just need to get it. It doesn't have to be perfect as far as the glue. We do want to try to make sure it's as perfect as possible with the actual what's it called? Alignment, sorry. It was deep thought there. And if a little bit of glue squirts out, don't worry about it, not a big deal. Let's fold it over onto itself. Let's check that alignment. That looks good. Okay, and then what we're gonna do here is basically similar to what we did before. Okay, we're gonna find the little pieces with the L, and we need to create the shape of this thing. Okay, so what I think is the best thing to do, this is symmetrical on both sides. We're gonna start by anchoring it to the bottom here, like so. You can do it this way, you can do it whatever way feels comfortable. But this bottom little tab, I'm going to put glue on the smooth side. Okay, and that's going to get glued right to this piece here. If you want to do it this way, that's fine. Just need to make sure, actually that's kind of hard to see. I'm going to do it this way. That's a little better. Get that nice and centered, nice and straight. Let's get that anchored. Okay, just like that. And again, just as we were doing, we're going to glue that tab, all these tabs, to the outside of this liner piece, all the way up to the top. It should meet pretty much perfect. If it's slightly off, it's not the end of the world. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We'll go ahead and start putting some glue on these dots, or on these tabs. I think I'm in a bit of a craft fatigue at this point. You should probably break this process down into a couple days. I wouldn't try to do it all in one day. Some of you will, that's fine. All right, so I'm pushing the roof up against this liner, this little skeleton piece, pressing it down from the inside, like so. Take a look at that, beautiful. And we're gonna take it all the way up to the peak. So I can take this and flare these tabs out. Little dots, little dots, little dots, little dots. Tuck those tabs under. Push up against the liner and press down from the inside. Pretty straightforward. Okay, now I'm going to go over to the other side. We're going to do the same thing here. I'm going to glue this tab right at the bottom. And actually, we could probably just, this is going to overlap, and that's by design, that's fine. Yeah, let's just start at the peak. That makes more sense. So go ahead and put some glue on maybe the first 3 or 4 tabs. Okay, let's tuck those under. And push that up against the liner as far as it'll go. There we go. Oh, whoa, 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 what just happened? That was not good. Never want to hear that sound. There we go. Might help to get a little dowel here to help out. There we go. Okay, let's take a look. Looks good. All right, let's flare these out. Let's do the next 3. I'll save the last one for a little bit later as it kind of goes at a different angle. There we go. Perfect. Yeah, so this is essentially the base for our shingles, and once we get the shingles going, we're going to be on the home stretch here. Okay, so this is the last little tab here. Flare that out. Put a little dot of glue on there. And tuck that under. Press it down. Use a dowel. Cool. Look at that. Okay, got it. All right, so there's that. And we're going to head over to the other side. We're going to repeat the same process with the other letter L. Okay, and we're going to start here, just like we did, except I think I'm going to do it this way. So I can match it up nicely. Throw a little bit of glue on this first tab at the bottom. Take this piece and just press that up against where the fold is. There we go. That looks good. All right, now let's take a look and make sure that this all lines up nicely. Meets the peak, it does. Go ahead and put a dot of glue on a few tabs. I've got 4 here. We're going to tuck those under. Oh boy. Tuck those under and then push up against the liner, skeleton piece, whatever you want to call it, and press that down right at that very edge. Create that shape right there. Awesome. Okay, let's get 3 more tabs down right up to the peak. 1, 2, 3. Okay. We're going to tuck those under, push them up against the edge of that liner, press down. There we go. Look at that. All right, now again, this top one here, this little guy is going to overlap the other one. There he is right there. And let's do a dot, 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 dot. Tuck that under, like so. Push up against the liner as far as it'll go. Grab your dowel too if you need to, get in that little crevice. Beautiful. Okay, let's take a look. Cool. A couple more. We'll leave the last one for last. Tuck that under, push up against the liner, press down. There we go. Cool beans. Okay, and finally, flare this one back. This is like the vertical one. And press that down. You can use your table for that too, might as well. There we go. Okay. All right, so check this out. This is how it's going to work. This is going to go on like this. You need to get that glued nice and flat up against this surface. And actually, it may be good just to kind of leave it like this while we take these pieces, the ones that go right here that do not have the little L on them. And let me see if it meets nicely. Yeah, it should. I think I'm going to glue this down so that the structure's holding it in place, and then we'll put this guy on. So here's what we can do. you can go ahead and just begin putting glue on this whole structure. Okay, and then on this side here, avoid the dormer. You don't need to put glue on that. It's not going to reach that at all. Okay, and then obviously you want the dormer side cut out on the side of the actual dormer. Make sure that it's touching the peak, and press that up against the structure. If you have to kind of push it in right here, that's fine. And we do need to put the shingles on this first before we do the dormer window. Make sure I have my texture side out. And you can either put glue on the actual roof section or you can put it on here. It doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, if we need to add a little extra glue, the process is going to stay the same. We'll just grab a scrap piece and just kind of paint it on. But let's get this installed now before we get our shingles in. Okay, and I'll rotate this in a second so you can see it a little better. But we want to try to keep it below the roof line ever so slightly so that the shingles don't hit it. Okay. I'll show you in a second here. It's kind of, this thing's so big and bulky right now that it's going to be hard to see. Okay, you can tuck your hand in there. Press that down. That looks nice. There we go. Okay, so you can see I put that little cover on. The other side has the tabs. This was just popped right on there, like so. And again, we got to put the shingles on this main part first before we do anything else. I have a nice little gap there on this little piece. I'm going to take a scrap piece of paper and just paint a little glue in there. Press that down, give it a little extra love, make it look nice. Why not? What else are we going to do? We're crafting. Okay, that looks great. We'll go over to the other side, do the same thing. Grab our other overlay piece and get our glue on here. I want to say this one's probably on par with Frostwood Manor. We saw a lot of those. So hopefully we see a lot of these. I'm hoping that if you haven't gotten your subscription to All Access, that you do so soon so that you can continue to enjoy our content. It's a really good deal. I know some are a little displeased with the decision, but again, I had to make that decision and I did, and here we are, unfortunately. What are you going to do? Okay. All right. I think that looks good. All right, let's get some shingles going here. All right, let's do some shingles here. So we're going to start off, there's a lot of shingles, okay? So what I want you to do is go through all of your shingles and find the ones that are just straight on both sides and they're long, okay? Straight and long, and then just get them in pairs. I have 2 ones, just like we did on the other one. Here's 2 ones. We're going to take the smaller one and glue it on top of the larger one. Okay, and actually we're going to start from the highest number and work our way up. So we can do this, but this is going to be the same process throughout. Okay, so technically we're going to start with number 9. Okay, this is number 9, only has 1 piece, and that is going to get glued right here, like so, right up to this little score mark just above the 9. Okay, so let's get that glued into place. We can just put glue. Don't worry about putting it on the shingles, just right above, like so, and then match that up right onto the score mark, just above the 9. And the 9 is 2 little squares or circles with the Roman numeral 1. Each of these there's 4 dashes in the shape of a square. That's 4 plus 4 plus 1, that's 9. Okay, so that's piece number 9. Now let's find both number 8s. And again, there's a skinny one and a thicker one. The skinny one is going to get glued on top of the thicker one, and then these are both going to get glued to the actual roof structure. I'm going to make this super easy for you. Okay, so we get that glued on top of the other number 8. Okay, so 8 is good. And you can see number 8 here, and that's going to go right onto the square mark above the Roman numeral 8. And we can go ahead and just apply glue. You can get it onto the shingles a little bit. That's fine. Okay, so square mark right above the 2 little 8s, or the 2 little 4s, I should say. There we go. And we're going to work our way from the bottom up. There we go. Okay, that takes us to number 7. And 7 is the little square with 3 next to it. So we're going to glue the skinnier one on top of the thicker one. And then you can see the 7 there on the actual roof with a score mark just above it. Make sure you get it nice and flush, front and back and top. Okay, you can see the 7 there. And this is going to go right onto that little square mark above that 7. You can see the pattern that we're creating here. Okay. Very straightforward. Just a lot of little pieces. Well, these are actually pretty big pieces, but you get what I'm saying. Line that up. Oops. There we go. Just make sure it's making good contact. Okay, so that's 7. Let's go to 6. A little square with Roman numeral 2 next to it. Glue the skinny one to the thicker one. Just be very careful doing that. Make sure it's all nice and lined up. Here we go. And you flip it around, add your glue. And you'll notice that there is, what number is this? Yep, there's a square mark right there, just to the left of it actually this time. It's not as up above it as the previous one. There we go. Press that down. Make sure everything is nice and flush right here. Okay. Now we're on to number 5. Okay. So here is 5, thicker one, smaller one, thinner one, going on to the thicker. And then both getting glued on. I believe this one, you're actually going to go flush with the score mark, or the fold line. There is no score mark. I guess they're both score marks, not the marker. I'll explain, sorry. I'm getting a little frazzled here because I made a last minute change to the numbering structure on this, so it's easier for you guys to find everything. Okay, throw your glue on there. And this score mark that goes all the way across here is where you want to line this next one up. And you can see that if you didn't do that, it would kind of disrupt the pattern on the shingles. So you definitely want to make sure you get that right. Take a look at that. That looks great. Okay, now we're on to number 4. Again, skinnier one on top of the thicker one. And continuing the process here. And this one also is going to go onto the total horizontal score mark there. That looks good. We'll flip her over. Getting a little bit thicker as we work our way up. I'm gonna go down a little bit more. Okay, right here, just above that 4 is this horizontal score mark. That's where you want to line that up. Just like that. Make sure it's nice and straight. And also flush on the sides. There we go. Okay, that takes us to 3. Same thing, thicker one on top of the skinnier one. And then the 3 is also going to get glued to that long horizontal score mark. Make sure you got it nice and flush there. Front and back, and the top. Okay, right to that score mark there. There we go. And of course, just give it a nice visual appraisal. Make sure that everything looks good visually. Sometimes if those markers don't cut straight, it might look kind of weird. But that looks great. All right, let's go to number 2. Glue the skinny 2 to the thicker 2. Okay. And we already did the 1. We did that one earlier. Okay. And the 2 does have an individual little score mark there to help you with the placement, so we need to do that. Make sure we get that aligned properly, right to those, just the 2 little score marks. There we go. Make sure it's flush. Nice solid roof. Here we go. Okay, and then the 1, we already glued the skinny to the thick, and the 1, I don't think it really has a marker, but there is a marker. There's no number. All right, actually, maybe there is. Either way. Okay, and that one's going to go right up to that little marker there. Perfect. Then, so we're not going to cap this off until we do the other side, but you can see here that these pieces are going to go on last to kind of cap this off. Okay, I'll do one at a time here. It's not quite ready for it yet, but it will be soon. Okay, there we go. Okay, so for this part of the roof, we're going to start at 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. On this part of the roof, we're going to start at 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. But the shingles for this roof are going to have an extra character in front of it. I think it's going to be an X. This is the last minute thing that we're doing just to help you more easily find the shingles for this piece that goes here. In addition to the numbers that exist, there's going to be, I'm going to probably say it's going to be an X. So it's going to be X and then 5. X and then 4, X and then 3. So anything with an X as far as shingles go, put those off to the side. They're going to be for this, okay? Now the remaining shingles are going to be for this, okay? And we're going to start at the bottom. The bottom has this piece here, okay? And it's just one piece. The round shingle, the fully round shingle is going to be on the outside. And number 9 is going to go right there like that, okay? So it's only one layer. So let's get that in place. And there's a score mark there for the number 9 just above that 9. There's a little score mark. Okay, press that down into place. There we go. Do the same thing on the other side. You can see this flat edge here. That's going to go on this side. And the 9 is right there. You're going to the score mark just above that 9. And that's where we're going to pop that one. Okay, next is 8. Okay, 8 is a straight piece. There's no curve to it. Okay, and then there's this little tiny partial shingle that's going to be facing in. Full shingle on the outside of this 8, half a shingle here. We're going to glue the smaller one on top of the thicker 8. Flush at the top, flush on the sides for both of them. Okay, we're just going to do one number at a time on each side so there's no confusion. And remember, that little partial little shingle is going to be facing towards the center of our house. So here's 8. Here's the number 8 here, and there's a little score mark just above it. That's going to go right there, like so. Okay, so let's get that glued down. It's a little bit of work. It may seem a little confusing, but it's fine. Just follow along and you will do just great. Okay, press that into place. There's my 8 on that side. Let's do the 8 on the other side. Okay, there's the number 8 score marks just above it. Push that in up against the building as far as it'll go. And press that down. There we go. Okay. Number 7, a little square with 3 digits. Okay, we have the little partial shingle there facing in. Okay, and on the smaller one you have a full shingle. On the larger one you have a half shingle on the bottom. Let's glue the smaller one to the larger one, or the thicker one. Again, flush at the top and the sides, like so. And these are still all straight. We're going to introduce a little curve here in just a bit, but for now, still dealing with pretty much straight edges on everything. Okay, so again, on number 7, make sure that that's flush. Otherwise, we're going to have some wonky looking shingles. There we go. Okay. And then there's your 7 there. There's a score mark just slightly above it. So we're going to get that glued into place. Remember, this partial shingle is going to face in. And it's going to go right there, like so. Okay. Press that down nicely. There we go. Looks like we're building a real roof. Kinda. All right, do the other 7 on the other side. That partial shingle facing in. And the half shingle on the outside, on the bottom. Okay, there we go. All right, getting there. All right, let's go to, that was 4, 5, 6, oh, that was 7. This is 6. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Again, little partial shingle facing in, full shingle on the outside for the smaller one. Glue the smaller to the larger. Okay. Flush at the top, flush on the sides. Still completely square. And it doesn't really matter once we get to the ones that are curved. It doesn't matter because the other ones that are curved for the dormer window, they have an extra identifier, so there shouldn't be any confusion. Okay, so there's that. And again, partial shingle facing in. Let's go ahead and get this one glued into place. Okay, so there is your 4, 5, 6, and there's a small little score mark just above it. I'm going to line that up with that. Okay, same thing on the other side. Partial shingle facing in, partial shingle. Sounds so weird. Remember as a kid, you'd say a word so many times it would like lose its meaning. I guess that still happens as an adult. I mean, who am I kidding? We're all a bunch of kids anyway, aren't we? Look at what I'm doing. All right, so that one is in place. Now we're gonna move on to number 5 now. This is 6. Looks good. All right, number 6 introduces a little bit of a curve now. We still have a partial shingle on the larger piece. Smaller piece is going to go on top, and you can see that it's starting to kind of curve a little bit. But same thing applies. I'm going to pop that right on top of the other one, flush at the top, flush along the sides. Perfect. Do the same thing with the left side. Okay. There we go. All right, press that down. And then for number 5, we're going to go along this score line there. There's not one little marker, there's an entire score mark that we're going to use as our guide for placement. I'm going to pop that right onto that score mark, and you can see how it kind of just follows the curve of that extruding dormer window as well. Okay, hold that down in place for just a moment. There we go. Do the same thing on the other side now. On the home stretch here, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, going right on that score mark. Pushing it in as far as it'll go inward. There we go. Make sure it's nice and aligned. Okay, number 4. Okay, so 4 also have a little partial shingle there. Okay, glue the skinnier one on top of the thicker one, just as we've been doing. Flush at the top, flush on the outside edge. Do the same thing here. Okay. There we go. All right. And with number 4, we're going right to this score mark here. And push that up against the dormer as far as you can. There we go. Press that down. Beautiful. Do the other side now. That's how you know this is a big project, when I have to kind of do that with my glue bottle. I'm obviously going through a lot. I'm going through a lot here, guys. There we go. There's 4. And moving right along here, going to 3 now. Starting to get a little thicker. And get the skinnier one on top of the thicker one. Okay. Make sure it's flush on the outside edge. There we go. Do the same thing with this one. And I think you pretty much get it at this point. We've built enough roofs and shingles here for a lifetime. But, you know, I mean, we've done in the past is we've embossed little panels to kind of give the impression of it. And that's fine. We just decided to give it a little more realism this time around, which I appreciate. All right, so this is 3. 3 is going to go right here on this score line, this full score line, not just a little marker. Line that up, press that down. Okay. And the other side. And again, 3, using that full score mark there. There we go. is spot on. All right, grab our 2s. And we are getting there, folks. I'm gonna put the end caps on after all 3 of the roofs are done, just so that we don't goof anything up. Because they are somewhat intertwined, especially the snow portion of it. Okay, there's the first 2. We're gonna take the skinny 2, put it on top of the thicker 2. Okay. And 2 does have individual little score marks just above and to the left and right of the number. And even without those markers, you can kind of see, I mean, it helps, but you can see where if you put it up too high or too low, you kind of break the pattern on the shingles, which obviously we don't want. So it's almost common sense as to where it goes, but we always like to make sure that you have all of the guides necessary to be successful. Again, using the markers here for number 2. There we go. Perfect. Now we're going to number 1. Gluing the skinnier one on top of the thicker one. We'll get that in place. And then we'll do our little dormer. Oh, hello, fly. Thanks for joining me. All right, let's get the other one. All right. Yeah, I don't see a lot of pieces left here. That means we're pretty close here. I'd say another maybe 30 minutes or so. Okay, let's get number 1 installed. I've been having to kind of take breaks here to cool off the studio a little bit in between takes. Number 1 does have some markers directly to the left and right of the Roman numeral 1 there. So make sure you utilize that. Keep it nice and straight. And we'll do the other side. Okay, there's our 1. Okay, and let me think about this here. Yeah. Okay, looks great. Have some nice texture here from the side. That looks good. Okay, cool. All right, now what we can go ahead and do is take this piece, and now we can attach this. I kind of jumped the gun earlier because we need the shingles underneath it. Okay, so this is ready to be placed now. So we can go ahead and apply our glue. That would have been a really bad boo-boo had I not caught it right away. Again, I'm working without a prototype for the first time in a long time. We did that just to kind of speed things up because we are behind. This project was a doozy. All right, we're gonna take this little guy that we built earlier. We're gonna pop that right onto the peak. Press that down and push it back as far as it'll go. Right where the structure is. And press that down, make sure it's making good contact up to, there's a point, I think right past this score mark where there's nothing to push against, so don't worry about that. But boy, that looks great. That looks awesome. Joining roof lines is probably built better than my house. There we go. Okay. All right, so this little guy, we're gonna put this on. Can we do it now or should we do it later? I think we should probably, I think we gotta get this on now. Yeah, let's get this on now. So these last 2 pieces here, okay, there's a thicker one and a thinner one. Obviously, we're gonna put this one on first. can go ahead and put glue on this whole thing. I think I'm doing that right. Yeah, I think so. So we'll put this piece on first. You're going to pop that down as far as you can onto that surface there. Make sure it's flush on both sides. There we go. I might need to add a little bit of glue underneath those shingles because they're kind of sticking up a little bit more than I want. Yeah. Let's grab a scrap piece of paper, preferably a longer one. Yeah, bring that glue down more. Let's get that side down. There we go. And I will repeat on the other side. Just too much lift for my liking on this side here. Just kind of flare those up a little bit and just paint a little bit of glue on the back side. I'm gonna press that down and hold for just a moment. There we go. I'm gonna take a look at the other side. That looks good. Okay, and then one more here. Again, don't be afraid to bring that glue down a little bit on those shingles. I want that to be... We don't want our shingles popping out. If an inspector saw that, you'd say, well, you know, there's something going on with your roof there. You got shingles peeling off. Okay, so this is the last one here for the top. Again, push that down onto the peak and push that in as far as it'll go. There we go. Beautiful. There she is. Cool, man. That looks great. Okay. That looks great. Love that little texture there. We are going to have, there's going to be some snow here ultimately. All right, so now we need to build the shingles for this piece here. Okay. And let's see, we have 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, so last but not least, a little dormer window here. You're gonna find shingles X01, or there's gonna be a marker, it's probably gonna be X. So it's 5, X5. We're gonna glue the skinny one on top of the thick one and then get that in place. We're gonna do that on both sides. Actually, why don't we just glue all of these together first. Can do a little assembly line here. So there's 5 for one side. We'll do 5 for the other, since it's two-sided. Okay. And we'll just get all of them pre-prepped so we can just place them right on there. There we go. There's 5. Let's grab 4 for one side, get the skinny one on there. So yeah, this one, boy, I think I want to say about three weeks or so from conception to prototype to here we are now. And it is definitely going to be one of our statement pieces, I would say. It's always kind of risky building something like this because it could turn out to be a giant flop, you know, and maybe not pan out. But boy, that rarely ever happens if we do it right. It rarely ever happens. All right, let's do number 3. Take the thin 3, put it on the thicker one. Just get them all pre-prepped. Then we have some snow drifts that we need to add, and then there's a set of little, what are they called? They are little accent pieces that we still need to build. They're relatively small. I kind of saved that for last because, well, I don't know. I was kind of avoiding it. It's like when I do a workout, I always avoid the things that I hate the most until last, and I think we're all kind of guilty of that. So there's 3, let's do 2. Skinny 2 on top of thicker 2. Okay. And this is no different than any of the roofs that we've put together on this. And it's probably the most time-consuming thing for this, but of course, it is the one thing that adds so much detail and interest to it. It's eye-catching. You know, you can't really mimic this with embossing, I don't think. The realism of actual shingles. And I'm sure if this was a real house, it would be probably even more involved as far as, you know, putting them on the house. All right, here's 1, skinnier 1 going on top of thicker 1. Okay, make sure I'm still filming here. Here we go. Flush at the top, flush along the flat side. There's 1. Do the same thing with this guy. So these are all prepped and ready to be added to the structure here in a moment. I love that. I love that you guys love these very detailed projects. There's so much time and love involved in it, but you seem to gravitate towards it. So cool. Kudos to you. All right, let's move these out of the way and let's start popping them in place. We can do one side completely and then do the other side. That's fine. So we don't have to keep rotating this thing. We're going to start with piece number 5. There's your marker there, and then there's a little score mark, 2 of them, just above that. So this is pretty much the same process that we've been doing here. Nothing new. Okay, so I may not even tell you that each and every single time as far as the markers, because, well, it's kind of redundant at this point. We know what to expect. And you want to push that up against the main structure as far as you can. Okay, you can almost have to kind of bend it a little bit. Just that first one anyway. Okay, so there's 5. Let's take a look at it from the front. That looks good. Grab number 4, and that 4 is the 4 dashes in the shape of a square or circle, whatever you're seeing. I feel like everyone kind of sees it differently. And 4 does have its own little marker. Just line that up with the marker there. Kind of lost sight of it there for a second. Come on. There we go. Okay, that looks good. All right, keep that in place. That looks great. Okay, let's do number 3. 3 does have its own marker. Just 2 little slits. Line that up nicely. Push this back as far as it'll go. And also, again, just try to keep it flush at the front. There's your 3. Beautifully done. Okay, cool. Grab 2. I think this assembly line process is a little more efficient. 2 also has its own markers. Line that up. There we go. Okay, and then 1 also has its markers, and then we have little caps that are going to go on top of that. Push that back towards the other roof as far as you can. You almost want to kind of, if you can get it inside of that other one, even better. Keep it flush on the front. Beautiful. Okay, so there's that one. That looks great. We'll go over to the other side now and repeat the process with number 5 at the bottom. Okay. Then there's the marker. Get that in place. If you want to give it a little bit of a curve, that's fine. Just push the shingles down a bit. But most importantly, just make sure it's making good contact throughout. Okay. That looks good. Let's go to number 4. And this is basically a repeat of the other side, so nothing crazy. Has its own little set of markers there, line that up. There we go, push that in place. Okay, let's go to 3. Right on the marker, and if you can kind of push it in towards the back, try to make it as seamless as possible where the 2 roof lines meet. That is a nice secondary objective, if possible. Mine looks pretty good. All right, go to number 2. And use the marker again. There we go. Very nice. And then finally, number 1. Got a nice little marker there. That one, I'm going to try to shove that one in there as far as it'll go. There we go. I was able to do that actually. Perfect. I want this to be nice and flush here at the front. There we go. Okay, we can add our little caps now. That looks great. Nice dimension there. Okay, let's grab these 2 little cap pieces. I'm going to start with the longer one. You can see this one's a little wider. We'll get the wider one first. It's going to go like that. So you can go ahead and let's make sure that we get our glue down onto the shingle ever so slightly, so it's not lifting up. Kind of learn from our mistake from the last one, right? Just get a little bit on that shingle. Maybe a little bit in the center for good measure. Pop that in there and push it back as far as it'll go, right up to the other roof. I'm just going to push it down and push it in a little bit more. Beautiful. Okay. And that just leaves this guy. Get some on the shingles there. All right. And cap that off. Push that up against the back of the building as far as you can, right up to that roof line. Try to keep that flush. There we go. Check out the other side. Looks great. So let's add some snow. All right. So we have these pieces here. Okay. We have this long piece here. Okay, and the way this is going to work is we first need to attach this piece. Okay, so there's 2 long pieces like this left. Actually, there's 3. This is for the little awning, but there's no fold on it. It's just a straight piece. There's this one that's longer, this one that's shorter. We're going to need the shorter one, and on the shorter one, there's a section that's thicker at the end. That's going to go towards the front, and we want the little tabs that are on the front of that hanging over onto the face of this. Let me show you what I mean here. There's little tabs here, and we want them to be on this face. Okay, so we're going to glue this down first, and then there's tabs back here that are going to get glued to this as well. Now I need to use my bone folder and kind of fold this a little more because it's still giving me a little bit of resistance, and I don't want that. These tabs are going to flare up. Let's first get this glued to the peak of the roof. Go ahead and just throw a little bit of glue on all of these, all this little snow here. Don't worry about the tabs, we'll do that in just a moment. Let's get the main part of the snow on there first, and then you can actually put a little bit of glue on those rear tabs. Okay, and my cat's coming in asking for lunch. All right, so pop this on there. Make sure those tabs in the back are making contact with the main part of the roof, and that these tabs will make their way over to the front. Press that down onto the roof, like so. And we can always go in and paint these little snow drifts if they're not making full contact, okay? And that's fine. Now open up, flare these little tabs out now on the front. Throw a little bit of glue on each of these little tabs. Come on, glue. I'm just gonna squeeze some out and just kind of dab it. Okay, so I was just putting a little bit of glue on these tabs here. And now I'm gonna fold those in and press them against the face here at the peak. Just hold them in place. And this is gonna be fun. Gluing glitter to glitter. It's my favorite thing in the world. That was sarcasm. And I can see this little bit of snow here that's just not sitting completely flush. I will just take a little scrap piece of paper, paint a little glue under there and press that down and hold it just to make sure it's not hanging off, because that looks a little unnatural in my opinion. Okay, I think those tabs took. Now you're gonna find, there's 3 pieces that look like this. Almost looks like a melting house. One is a little bit smaller, and that is for this section here. It's gonna go right on the front like this. Okay, and it's gonna add a nice little touch of snow. So actually I would prefer that we just put glue on this so that we don't get glue where we don't need it. Keep your fingers nice and clean. Okay, let me prop this back a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. We're just gonna pop that right on the end. Just put a little cap on it. There we go. And it's glitter on glitter, so we're gonna have to be patient here. Yeah, this is gonna be a pain. I really don't wanna go the hot glue route here. So I'm just gonna hold this till kingdom come. All right, so that took a little bit of time for that glitter to cure on top of the glitter, which is always the case, and that's fine. Next, we're gonna take this long piece here, and we're gonna get this installed on top of the other one. And there are tabs on both ends because we have another little cap that we're gonna put on there once we have this installed. So go ahead, just like we did with the smaller piece, go ahead and add your glue to the glitter if you're using glitter. If you're using cardstock, bless your heart, you're a lucky duck. I'm using glitter, which is not so bad when you're just putting it on cardstock, but again, glitter to glitter. I might fire up the hot glue gun because I'm not sure I'm gonna have the patience to do this again. Okay. And you can see that on one side of there's a perfect little triangle there, and that's for right here. You want to get that right in the center there. Go ahead and pop that on there. Make sure those tabs cross over onto the front of each side. They should perfectly, for the most part. And again, if we need to do a little bit of painting with some glue to get the glitter to really stick, totally fine. But I think I did a pretty good job here. I might have a few stray ones that are just kind of hanging out, but that's okay. I'm not overly concerned about it. We got some felt on there. Have a little gap right there, and I might just take some white paint and kind of fill that in. But anyway, going over here now, we have these tabs, which I'll show you, just like we did on the front. We've got these 2 tabs here. We're gonna put a little bit of glue on each of these tabs and glue that to the face of the roof here. Okay, so just push that up against there, like so, and hold it. So we're still glitter on cardstock, which is gonna be easy. But like I said, I'm gonna put the caps on probably with some hot glue, just so it goes quicker. Otherwise I'm gonna lose my mind here. Okay. And then these caps, you have to find the one that fits. That one's perfect for right there. Okay, so I'm gonna hot glue that. You wanna hot glue that right onto, let me see, maybe this one, nope, this one's the one here. It's gonna go just like that. We're gonna glue that right on there. Same thing on the other side, okay? All right, so a couple little finishing touches here. We have these little support pieces that go underneath this red platform. And there's 8 of them. You notice that on one end there is a little tab. You're gonna put glue on that tab, just a few little dots. You can thin that out too if you want. And then just fold it in on itself and take the other end and just pop it right on there. It's not quite, I mean, it's symmetrical in a way, but you can glue that tab flat and then pop it back out to give it a shape, its shape, and then tuck in one side of it. There's 3 tabs on each side. Put some glue on those tabs, maybe thin that out, close it up, get it nice and centered, and you can put that down on your surface, and it helps to pop a little dowel inside there to push down on those tabs, help them get a hold. Okay, so one side is glued in place, and then take the remaining 3 tabs, push them in, throw a little bit of glue on those tabs, spread that out, and then go ahead and close it up. It's like we're making little bricks, except they're kind of funky shaped. Okay, and just hold that. You're gonna repeat that process 8 times. Fun. Lots of fun. Okay, and remember those little score marks that we kind of talked about in the past. Now, take a look at this, and what I'm gonna do is, there's one side that's flat and one side that kind of comes out. We want the flat side up against the house with the thicker side at the top. So just kind of lay those out like that. Okay, so that they're kind of slanted down towards you and flat on the back. Okay, so go ahead and apply some glue to the back. And we're just gonna tuck these right here where those little score marks are, and they should basically be making contact with that little red platform as well. Okay, so it's gonna look something like that. And it's just a nice little reinforced structural piece. You can push from the inside a little bit, help it make better contact. Okay, so we'll do that 8 times. Try not to get glue all over the place. Use those little markers as your guides. You can pop your hand inside there and try to push it up against that red platform and up against the building as well. There we go. Let's push it up as far as it'll go. And of course, I didn't have enough glue on there. Thought I did. Anyway, you get the idea. Okay, so just a little awkward. Not too bad. There we go. Just gotta get your finger on there initially so that it gets a grip. There we go. Very nice. Okay, so again, you're gonna repeat that process. A few more spots here, and here, and then the 4 over here. Okay, I'm gonna do that off camera. I don't really need to do that right now and bore you. We've already done enough, I think. All right, so finally, what we can do here, we have this little canopy. Now, I need to put the snow on this, and it would help. I'm gonna grab yourself a dowel and just take and kind of curl the tips of the little, what are these called? Icicles, I guess, or just snow. Curl it up against the dowel just to kind of give it a little bit of a curve so it sits on this a little more flat. Okay, we may need to go through and just kind of manually kind of push some of these pieces into place. There might be a little touch-up painting involved, but go ahead and apply your glue onto this entire surface, on the back of it, I should say. Okay. I'm going to pop that right at the very, very top here. Should be flush with the back. Make sure it's centered. as well. There we go. And you can actually, once you get it, you kind of use your table. It is round, but I don't have fingers as long as the surface of my table, so sometimes that helps. And then just take and kind of run your finger along, making sure that it's all sitting nice and flush. And again, if you have any little gaps, you can go in with the little painting method. And I'll just show you here. Throw a little glue on the end of the scrap piece. That little guy was not sitting as flat as I would have liked, nor was he. Okay, there we go. And let's see here, how about you? You need a little extra love there. There we go. Okay, and then finally, we have these pieces. These are going to go on the corners here. Kind of cap this off. If you have a little gap that's still left over, you can always... I have a gap back here I need to clean up. You get the idea though. It's not as flush as I would have liked. I'm going to go back here. Just tuck a little glue back there. And just press and hold that in place. Make sure it's nice and flush. Going this far, we may as well just make sure everything is as good as it can be. There we go. Okay. We got these little caps that we're going to put right here. Try to get that as flush as you can up against the snow that's at the top. Just a few little dots. Okay. And what I ended up doing, just because of some little tiny imperfections, I just took some white paint and filled in the gaps. Sometimes when you're working with thick material like, well, in this case, glitter, it's just so thick. It's tough to get it perfect, so you can always just throw a little paint on there to fill in those little gaps. It's not really cheating, it's all part of crafting. Okay. And put the other one in place. Don't forget to put your little bricks in place. And finishing touches. Now, also, in your download is an optional bottom for your house. Now, we put it as an extra because I thought it was kind of pointless to waste a decent sized sheet of paper to close the bottom when you're actually putting it on a base anyway. So if you're not using the base, you can put a bottom on it, but if you're using a base, don't worry about it, you don't need it. But that would essentially entail flipping this over, putting glue on this entire structure and just putting the bottom on there. But like I said, I don't really see the need to do that. All right, so now that this thing is ready to go, we're gonna put glue on this entire piece here, and we're gonna push that up against the remaining side. Kind of left this for last, just in case, as we're moving it around. I didn't want to inadvertently mess it up or destroy it. Okay. And you can see where that needs to go. This little, it's almost like a little T there. That's going to be the outside part of our awning. And of course, you want to match it up with the little framed out sections for the windows as well. Make sure it's all nice and straight and lined up. And then you can go ahead and push that up against. I got a little bit of, where's my, oh boy, where are things when you need them? I'll use whatever I can get my hands on right now. Rub that glue off. Got a little too much on there. There we go. Okay, push that up against the house as far as it'll go. That looks nice. And there's that. Okay, don't forget to put your little bricks in place. And okay, finishing touch. So Santa's sign, I'm thinking that this would be a nice spot for it, like right around here. Okay, you got to put the rest of the bricks in place first before you put Santa's sign on there, obviously. There's that. So I'm going to just put these two in place, and I would probably recommend using some foam squares to attach the sign. I guess you don't have to. Get your hand in there and push up from the inside. There we go. And one more. Don't forget the other four, obviously. Put Santa's sign in there, and maybe I'll even light it up for you before I say goodbye here. Okay, as far as the sign goes, you can glue it flat right onto there if you want. That might actually look better. I don't know how I feel about putting foam squares on there. It might stick out too much and then kind of be visible from the side. Let's take a look and see what it looks like. I'll just put a couple on there, and if I don't like it, I can always just glue it down. But we do need to put them right here. I'm going to put them on the actual structure so I know exactly where I need them. Okay. And we are officially open for business. There we go. Very cool. All right. Okay, so here she is, all done, and let's light her up. Voila. So one thing I want to mention here real quick is on the back, just like with the Frostwood Manor, we've included a little hole here so that you can put, this is an LED incandescent candle or light, a light bulb, I should say. So it doesn't burn very warm. It's completely far enough away from all the paper to where it would not pose a fire risk. In the Frostwood Manor, I actually used an actual incandescent bulb with filament, left it in there for months and it was fine. If you're concerned, go LED or just get yourself just like one of those. I actually have a hue bloom in here. It's a pretty large light. But yeah, aside from that, you've got that beautiful, beautiful. You can see the little elves making their toys in there. And again, wonderful, beautiful statement piece that will certainly be cherished. So that is going to do it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please visit us on our YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button. And while you're there, hit the little bell so you get notifications anytime we release a new project. And this one, again, since our recent partnership with Creative Fabrica is exclusively available on Creative Fabrica through their all-access membership. So for $47 a year, you get everything we've ever made, what we're currently making, and what we're going to be making in the future. And by November 20th of this year, our entire library will be available and included in the $47 subscription. Now, that $47 doesn't mean that you have a subscription and you still have to pay for our files on top of it. That's not how it works. For $47, you get everything from Dreaming Tree that is available. So hope you guys join us over there if you haven't. For those of you that have a membership, happy downloading, happy crafting, and as always, I look forward to crafting with you again.